Page 2, Morning Glories. 4/4 time. It's got one sharp and a key signature. So it's either in G major or E minor. Well, let's take a look at that. I like to look at the last measure of a piece because more often than not that will end on the chord of the key it's in. It may or may not start on the chord, so you can't really rely at the beginning too much. You can't really rely on the end either totally, but most of the time it will. Sometimes you just got to kind of play through it and does it sound like it's in G major or E minor or whatever. But look at the last measure here at the bottom of page 3. It's here. That's G major. So I'm going to say this piece is probably in G major. I have a particular approach I use when I look at a new piece of music, and that's the approach I use in these videos. You have your own approach, I'm sure everybody does. But for me, I like to do it one hand at a time to make sure I've got each hand under control. Because then when I go to put the hands together, it's usually everything falls apart and it's a mess. So here at the beginning in the right hand, it's a pickup beat coming in on beat 4. You want second finger on the E. Don't forget the F sharp. So it's 4 and 1, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Crossover third finger. Now I consider this first line an introduction. There's no double bars at the end of it, but there doesn't have to be. There could be, but there doesn't have to be. To me, the song actually starts in the second line here. This is a chord. These 4 notes, it's a broken chord. And then claps. 1 and 2 and 3, and then lift up and move down. And then third finger, reach down with a 2, and then lift up, thumb under, and again, blah, blah, blah. When you start the last line, well, start with the last 2 eighth notes of the third line. You're here. And then cross over 2, or to the 3. It's a 3. This move you got to be able to do. Here. It's an important move to don't be twisting around or moving anything. Just relax the thumb and move the hand over it. Takes a little bit of practice. I've been doing it for a million years, so it's not quite so bad for me. And then lift up. Top of page 3, fourth finger. I like to show you a little fingering that as you progress through the book you're going to run into this, so I'm going to show it to you now. At the top of page 3, you ended in this position, and at the top of page 3 they want you in this position. Well, you can do that because it's a phrase and you can lift up and move. You lift up between the phrase. However, you can also lift up and just stay there and do a 2, 3, 4. You have repeated E's. I like playing different fingers on repeated notes anyway. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes it's handy. And this way I can use those to change positions. And again, for the C's, third finger's fine if you want. You can scrunch up and do it, or just 2 and then 3. Octave, and then a 2. And that fermata I'm going to hold for 2 counts instead of 1 because I'm going to do this with a metronome. Otherwise you just feel it and then you go on. And this is like it was at the beginning. In the left hand, keep the left hand soft because the melody's in the right and that's what we want to hear. So at the beginning it's treble clef here, and then here I do a 5-3-2. And then here, and then the last measure, all of these notes are tied. So that D, once you play it, you're going to hold it down for the rest of the measure. You add this F sharp to it, hold it down, and add the C. So now you got all 3 of them down. And then you can lift up and go up. That's a whole note, hold it down. Their fingering is fine. again, and so forth. Last two measures on page 2 here. E, and then come down. Don't forget the F sharp. And you're just doing these broken chords, blah, blah, blah. Let's go over to page 3, second line, second measure on these whole notes. It's an E flat, a G, and a C sharp. If you have big hands, you don't want to use the thumb, you can do that, but this is fine. If you can do that, use the 3-5-1. And then a C natural. They put the natural in parentheses because it isn't necessary, it's a natural anyway. They're just being nice. Oh, by the way, this is a natural. And then you're back to what you were at the beginning. Then we try and put the hands together. Did I mention that in the left hand at the last measure, the first line on page 2, we went to treble or bass clef? I forgot to mention they changed clefs. They do that sometimes. Anyway, both hands. There's a ritardando or a poco ritardando. You slow down a little bit. And then we start the song. So you slowly put the hands together. Now they've got phrasing in here. I don't know that I care for their phrasing, but that's what they've done. It's like in the introduction, they've got one measure phrases. I don't like one measure phrases. To me, that's choppy. To me, I would tend to turn those into two measure phrases. When you start the piece, the phrases aren't quite so bad. At least they're not one measure phrases. Now you're lifting the right hand, not the left here. The phrasing is in the right hand. The left, trying to keep the left legato all the way through. And again, lift up for the phrase. And again, the phrase. At the bottom of the page 2 there, you're ending a phrase in the right hand. You lift the right hand up for the phrase, but play the left hand legato, keep it down. You play it legato if you can. Sometimes if the left hand is moving around you can't, but if you can, connect the notes. This is the top of page 3, it's here. Lift up the right hand but not the left. Slurs, down, up, down, up. The ritardando, slow down, hang on to that. And now, actually here you can lift both hands because it goes back to the melody. Etc. all the way through. But we do all of that without pedals because we want to hear every note. We want to know how long we're holding the notes down. You got to hear that very carefully. We're not relying on pedal to do things we should be doing with the fingers. Then when you have all that, you can add the pedal. They're showing overlapping pedal, and that's fine. These books, as near as I can tell, they keep the pedaling simple for you. There's not a lot of intricate pedaling going on. And that's okay, but I'd like to challenge you a little bit and offer some other suggestions on pedaling from now and now. And that is in this, I want to hear the phrases. So it's overlapping unless there's a phrase involved, and then I'm going to lift the pedal with the right hand. So I get silence in the right hand. So it's going to be legato pedal as much as possible. That means I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal at the beginning. You don't pedal those eighth notes here, but right after I play these notes, I'm going to push the pedal down. Right there. And then when I get to the next measure, I'm going to push the notes down, and then change the pedal, which means let the pedal up and put it right back down. Here, and then lift it up with the hands at the end of the line so we get silence before we start the piece. Now if you want the phrasing, then you can't do that. You got to lift the pedal up with the right hand. The first line again that way. See, I've got here. Our problem here is that when we do that, it's going to make the left hand choppy too. So we kind of treat this first line like one long phrase, really. It's what it sounds like. We go through the motion of the phrasing in the right hand even though we can't hear it. And then when we start the piece, now we can do the phrasing. Here, and I lift the pedal up with the right hand and I don't pedal the last beat. Same thing, I lift the pedal up with the right hand, I don't pedal the last beat. Bottom of page 2, second measure going into the third. This is like there was an don't pedal the eighth notes. Well, they're telling you not to. I'm going to lift the pedal up at the end of the page with the right hand, but keep the left hand down. And then, so I hear I want to hear a phrase in there. Again. Here, what's the point in having the phrasing? I like to hear that two-note phrase. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm not going to pedal it. I just didn't pedal those two measures. So I want to hear the... Because if you pedal it, you lose that. If that's okay with you, then do it that way. And then lift up at the end of the line so we get silence before we go on. And that's a 2-5 in the right hand at the end. Here. And lift the pedal up with the hands at the end of the piece. That's my suggestions on pedaling. Although you can pedal it just like they're telling you to in the book. There's nothing wrong with it, I just don't like that sound, so I adjust it. It's a personal thing. Well, there's a little trickiness going on in the pedal on page 3, third line down, third measure. Watch out, because it's changing with the harmony here, so it's changing with the third beat right there. I mean, it's marked in there, just follow it. Like so be careful with the pedaling there. It says allegretto. To me, allegretto is a little faster than moderato, but it's slower than fast. To me, allegretto is a fun speed. I think it's about as fast as I've been playing it on it. You have to experiment with different speeds. If I play it fast, it's this. That's fast, too fast in my opinion. If you take it really slow, that's too slow. I mean, we don't want it to be too small. See, this is kind of a fun thing. Think fun when you're doing it. I haven't talked dynamics, but hopefully you can get the dynamics. You're starting out medium soft at the first line. All the dynamics apply to the melody. Everything else has to stay softer. Whatever you think medium soft is, it's sort of soft. You decide what that is, and then make the left hand softer than that. And then at the end of that line, you're coming go. You want to hear that A over the C there, and then medium loud here, and going up to loud. Back down to medium loud again, go up to loud, down to medium loud, and now you're all the way down to medium soft. It's important that you have some difference in the dynamics between this medium loud on the second line and this medium soft at the bottom, the last line. Staying there. Then the end of the first line on page 3. Now you're going to gradually go up a little bit, not much, to medium loud in the next couple measures. Now medium loud. Don't get medium loud until then. Then medium soft. I go down to soft, but that's what I do. And then you're back the way it was at the beginning. Get louder. And soft or medium. You go down to medium loud. Medium loud to loud to medium loud to loud, blah, blah, blah. And then the last line, you're going all the way down to soft. From loud to soft. And there's a retardando, you'll slow down. Experiment with the dynamics. I suggest you get to know the piece so you can think about the feeling and the mood and the emotion without concentrating so much on notes and rhythms, and then let the dynamics sort of happen. Just kind of, you feel that there, go up into there, and then at the end of a phrase, come down. You feel that going up and coming down. Don't force it. I want to do a play with me here to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics, and we're going to go really super slow. So if you want, you play along with me and double check that you're playing the right notes and the right rhythms. You can play it one hand at a time if you need to, but that's fine too. So I'm going to give 3 counts and then play it slowly. 1, ready, and go, and. Hold.